So I need to mirror my screens. Okay.
Yep.
My name is Christoph Hermann, but everyone refers to me as Steffi. That's also how my co-workers try to pronounce my name. Some of them are actually pretty good at it, but kind of hard. You find me on Twitter and on GitHub with 2 different spellings because it's life. And I work at Noordink. Since you are all interested in Elm, you probably know about Noordink. Since Richard works at Noordink and Evan continued last year. And Jasper is joining us next year, which is amazing. So what I'm going to talk about today is elm-doc-test and a bit about how to write an app in Elm and run it in Node. So elm-doc-test. Elm-doc-test, or you probably know doc tests if you have experience in Python or in some other languages like Elixir also has doc tests and Haskell has it. Doc tests are a way to write tests in a comment block right next to your function. So the way you write doc tests in Elm is it's almost the same syntax as in Python, which was the original doc test library. You start by indenting your codes with 4 white spaces, which is also how the package repo of Elm recognizes that this is an example and will render it in a nice way. So you start with 4 white spaces and then follow it by 3 greater than signs. Then comes your expectation, and on the next line comes your expectation, your assertion. So this is the doc test. I say camelize will turn hello world into a camelized string, and to run this I need to go to the console and I can run it and you see one test passed. Currently you need to first run elm-doc-test and then run elm-test and point it to the generated test. But this will change. I discussed this with Richard and we will integrate doc-test in elm-test. It will probably happen tomorrow since I will work on that tomorrow. So what does elm-doc-test do? It parses your files and compiles a real Elm test from it. So you get all the benefits you have with Elm test. So you get nice messages. You can also, if you screw something up, let's change it to this, so it will fail. You get a nice error message where you can see it didn't match what you expected. If you have a compiler error, let's say, we change this to 42, you get a nice compiler message. You see that string number is not a string. Can you see it? Sorry. And this is all because we don't run the test in Elm REPL, which previous implementation of someone, I think from Japan, did. It's actually going to create Elm, and it will put everything in a folder called elm-doc, and in there you have a name and all the tests, and it will namespace all tests under the same folders you had them in your code base. And if we look at that, it will create, for example, I tested the string extra, the library, and it will create the test in here, and if you run Elm format, it will have a nice test where you can see a nice description, your function call, and your assertion. It also supports multi-line tests, so if you want to do something like, let's say, string.length should equal, I don't know, 10. Sorry. I didn't import string. So to import something, let me go back down here. You can tell elm-doc-test you want to import the external library with this import, and you only import that for the test because you may want to import the test library or something. And so I'm importing string, and it didn't work because the demo god is not with me today.
You're missing the pipe.
And yeah, I'm also missing the pipe. Thank you. Cool. So did actually match 10. Yeah, so it has a lot of features. We want to improve the API for how to run elm-doc-test for the next version, but from then on, it's if you want to test your app, you can use either elm-test or write your text next to your function, like this.
Can you have multiple?
Yeah, of course. So you can do, let's say, Zürich. Zürich. So that should also work.
You don't have a German keyboard?
No,
Oh.
of course not.
Or at least you don't know how to import.
So yeah, you see two tests passed. So that's elm-doc-test. The interesting thing is how I implemented doc tests. It's partially in Node, partially in Elm. And so the main thing is here. So I compile my Elm code to Elm.js file. And in my Node app, I require that and create a worker and pass the initial config to it like this. And for I/O stuff, writing files, reading files, I use ports like you would do for anything else you want to interrupt with JavaScript. And the new thing in 0.18 is that you can create a program without HTML. So before we had to import HTML and create a big program with a view, and now you can use platform programming flags and only use init, update, and subscriptions, and that's it. So the parser and the compiler for elm-doc-test is written in Elm, and looks like this. So that's already it. Questions you have?
What font was that?
It was operator mono.
Is it the crazy expensive one?
Yeah, sorry.
Did you pay for it?
Yes. Yeah, and it's not that easy to make the cursive font in Vim, but it's possible.
Are you making use of the compiler to parse the code, or did you just write your own Elm parser?
Yeah, I wrote my own. So the Elm parser doesn't parse the comments like exactly like this. So it just recognizes a comment. But I re-implement. So this was done in a half a day or a day during like it was just a proof of concept first. And I did everything with regex because it was the fastest way to do. And I re-implemented everything with elm-combine, which is like parsec for Haskell. But it turned out to be really slow because I had to parse, like it parses by character. So I switched back to regex, and now we have a fast implementation, which is, yeah, it has some regex, so it's not that nice, but it's okay.
It's correct most of the time.
Yeah, it's correct most of the time. And it's, yeah, contributions are more than welcome. Yeah.
Maybe I just missed this, but is there any way of kind of updating the tests? So say you generate a test suite from the docs, and then you change something. How are you going to change? Are you regenerate the whole test suite?
Yeah, so if you run your Elm tests with the next version of no test runner, it will just regenerate everything.
And then you have some version control and you see the diff, and that's what you check. Okay.
Oh, you don't check in the doc tests usually. So it will generate the doc tests on your CI if you have a CI.
I see.
Yeah. So it's recommended to git ignore that, and we plan to put it in Elm stuff maybe where you usually already git ignore Elm stuff, so it will be generated in there.
So this platform program with flags, if I compile this, then I have what, a JS file that I can run in Node?
Yeah.
And it does what?
So this is the business logic of my app, and like if I want to write something, I just call a port like you would normally do for.
And so there's like an enclosing Node app where you imported it. So you use this to talk with the port to something enclosing it. That's cool.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's similar. No, it's exactly how no test runner for Elm test is. And maybe one last thing. So there is some discussion going on about the syntax of writing tests, and so currently it's like this. And I think, in my opinion, this clearly states that this is something special. But there are some discussions going on if we should change it to this, which will be the same syntax as the REPL prints out stuff, which is maybe more, which is maybe less foreign to users, but in my opinion could be mistaken for, like, this could be something like this. This could be actual syntax. And there's also like variations of this with like a pound or a backslash or anything.
I mean, you could fix that by just modifying the corresponding editor modes.
Yeah.
Or syntax plugins.
Yeah.
Is it necessary for the symbol for line continuation to be a different one than the original one?
Yes.
Because if you write just Elm code in a file, then you don't see that this line is a different line from the other lines. So it's kind of a shame in some sense, or not?
Yeah, but you need to do that for how you want to
we need to group it together. So it would probably be possible, but we need to group stuff. And this is exactly how Python does it, which has like a long history of doc testing, and I think it's acceptable.
Or look at it, just from this pure example, like how would it know that import string is a separate statement?
No, true. You'd have to parse the entire thing, basically.
Yeah. Any opinions on changing it to one character?
That's fine.
Cool.
How does this render in the documentation?
It renders well. Maybe I have an example. Let's see. What is it? Preview. What is the doc preview command of Elm package? Does somebody know? Here. Okay, I don't remember. I will look it up and show you later. It's just that 3 characters are highlighted differently, but the rest is fine.
Okay.
So it's okay, in my opinion. And maybe we can like change how it gets rendered.
Yeah.
For sure. Cool, that's it, thank you.